The war planners in Washington and Tel Aviv had a number, 3,000 Iranian ballistic missiles, cataloged, tracked, targeted. The plan was clean: hit the launch sites hard in the first 72 hours, crater the production facilities, and Iran would run dry within a week, maybe less. It is now day 9 of Operation Epic Fury. Iran has launched over 500 ballistic missiles, nearly 2,000 drones, 29 coordinated strike waves against Israel, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and U.S. naval assets in the Persian Gulf. And here is the part that should terrify every strategist watching this conflict. Iran is not running out of missiles. The intelligence was wrong. Not slightly wrong, catastrophically, dangerously, potentially war-alteringly wrong. Today, we are going to break down exactly how this happened, what it means on the battlefield right now, and why this single revelation may have already changed the outcome of this war. Welcome to Flashpoint, where we cut through the noise and give you the hard tactical and geopolitical analysis that mainstream media won't touch. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because this conflict is moving fast, and the updates we are delivering here are critical. Bell notification on. Let's go. Let's establish the timeline. On February 28, 2026, day 1 of the war, Iran launched 420 ballistic and naval missiles in a single day. One single day. Those strikes targeted Israel 162 missiles, the United Arab Emirates 126, Qatar 46, and additional salvos against Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and U.S. Navy warships operating in the Gulf. The systems involved were not improvised. We are talking about Shahab 3 South, Imad Khyber Shikan, Feta hypersonic variants, Khorramshahr-Pat, and the This is not a rogue nation firing Scud leftovers. This is a coordinated multi-vector, multi-theater, ballistic missile campaign of a scale the region has never seen. By day 7, the daily launch rate had dropped roughly 90%, down to 4,250 missiles per day. Waves 25 through 29 continued through day 9, mixing different missile types to stress different interceptor systems simultaneously. Now here is where the numbers get alarming. Pre-war intelligence from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, Israeli Military Intelligence, and the International Institute for Strategic Studies placed Iran's stockpile at approximately 3,000 ballistic missiles. With 500 to 600 already fired, that should mean Iran is down to somewhere between 2,400 and 2,500 units. Manageable. Except revised estimates now, circulating among defense analysts, put the real pre-war stockpile between 4,000 and 5,000 missiles. With 500 to 600 expended, Iran could still have 3,400 to 4,500 ballistic missiles remaining. Donald Trump has demanded unconditional surrender. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has publicly stated, on the record, that Iran will not capitulate. While those two positions remain irreconcilable, the missiles keep flying. Here is what every armchair analyst needs to understand about what is happening on this battlefield right now. First, the interceptor math is breaking the coalition's wallet. Israel's Arrow 3 system costs between $2 and $3 million per interceptor. Patriot PAC-3 missiles run $4 to $6 million each. Even the shorter-range Iron Dome interceptors cost $50,000 to $100,000 per shot. Iran's Khyber Shikan, one of its most capable solid-fuel ballistic missiles, costs an estimated $500,000 to $1 million to produce. Iran is forcing a 10-to-1 cost exchange in its favor on every intercept. The U.S. alone burned through $3.7 billion in the first 100 hours of Operation Epic Fury, providing air defense support across the theater. Israel's numbers are similarly staggering. Iran, by contrast, is spending a fraction of that to sustain the offensive. This is textbook economic attrition, warfare, and right now, Iran is winning that specific battle. Second, Israel's air campaign has been brutal but incomplete. Since February 28, the Israeli Air Force has conducted over 2,500 airstrikes against Iranian territory. They have destroyed an estimated 80% of Iran's fixed air defense infrastructure, radar networks, S-300 batteries, Bavar 373 sites. They have hit production facilities, command nodes, and suspected mobile launcher positions. But 80% of fixed infrastructure is the key phrase. Iran spent 4 decades building redundancy into its missile program precisely to survive this kind of assault. Launch vehicles are mobile, often hidden in mountain tunnels near Semnan and other hardened underground complexes. Assembly lines for solid fuel missiles like the Khyber Shikan are dispersed into small workshops that can operate even under bombardment. Third, Iran is still producing missiles during the war. Pre-war production capacity was estimated at 5,270 ballistic missiles per month. Under current wartime conditions, with State industrial groups in Tehran partially degraded, that rate has dropped to an estimated 10 to 20 per month. It is lower, but it is not zero. Run the math. If Iran started with 4,500 missiles, launched 600, and is producing 15 per month while losing some to airstrikes, they could sustain this campaign at a reduced launch rate for months, not days, months. That is a game changer. The entire coalition strategy was built on a 4-5-day capitulation window. That window has closed. Now zoom out. Because this war is not happening in a vacuum. Russia is watching this conflict with intense strategic interest. Every day that Iran demonstrates its ability to sustain a ballistic missile campaign under Western air attack, Moscow learns something about how its own missile doctrine might hold up in a prolonged European conflict. The Kremlin has not condemned Iran's strikes. That silence is loud. China is monitoring the Strait of Hormuz with something bordering on alarm. Approximately 20% of global oil supply passes through that choke point. The moment Iranian missiles start landing near Gulf oil infrastructure with regularity, and several have already struck refineries in the UAE energy markets go haywire. Oil prices have already surged significantly since the war began. A prolonged conflict with no clear end in sight means sustained price pressure on every economy on Earth. The United States faces a compounding political problem. Trump's public posture, unconditional surrender. No negotiations plays well domestically in the short term, but the coalition is burning through money at a pace that is difficult to sustain politically. At $3.7 billion per 100 hours, you are looking at over $800 million per day in U.S. defense expenditures in this theater alone. Congressional pressure to define an exit strategy will intensify within weeks if the launch rate does not collapse. And here is the uncomfortable question no one in Washington or Tel Aviv wants to answer publicly. What if the real number is 5,000 missiles? What if it's higher? In the next 24 to 48 hours, watch for three things. 1. Whether Iran launches another large-scale coordinated wave, a Wave 30 or beyond, to demonstrate that its stockpile is still operational and its command and control has not been severed. A large salvo would be a direct political message to Trump. We are not surrendering. 2. Watch the Gulf oil infrastructure. If Iranian missiles begin consistently penetrating the 85% intercept rate and landing on UAE or Saudi refinery complexes, we could see an oil shock that destabilizes the global economy within days. 3. Watch for any back-channel diplomacy signals, Qatar, Oman, or Turkish intermediaries attempting to open a negotiation corridor between Washington and Tehran. Right now, both sides say no talks. But wars are ended with talks, and the economic clock is ticking for everyone. The bottom line is this. The intelligence failure that underestimated Iran's missile stockpile by at least 1,000 to 2,000 units has fundamentally altered the strategic calculus of this war. What was planned as a rapid, decisive decapitation campaign has become a grinding war of attrition, one where Iran holds more cards than anyone in the West publicly wants to admit. The missiles are still flying. The money is still burning. And the end is nowhere in sight. Is this an escalation spiral that ends in full regional war, or is Iran's missile campaign ultimately just buying time before the inevitable collapse? Drop your analysis in the comments. I want to know what you think is really happening here. This has been Flashpoint. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we will see you in the next one.